Hi everyone, this is Mark and welcome back to our YouTube channel. In the last episode, we finished the ring beam, and in today's video, we are carrying on with the latest updates. After the concrete was poured and started to set, I cleaned around the top of the walls. It's much easier to scrape everything off before it completely cures. Next, I had to slow things down and really think this step through. It required very precise measuring with no room for mistakes, so I double-checked the plans and all the numbers. This step was all about getting the load-bearing beams in the right positions. The plan was to install a beam every 60 centimeters straight on top of the ring beam. These will support the second floor later on, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Right now, we only had to mark their positions. This was a three-person job. Two of us were holding the measuring tape, and my wife was marking the wall with the measurements I called out. We had to do this on both sides of the house, but it went pretty quickly. Each beam is 10 centimeters wide, so we left an 11 centimeter gap, just to give ourselves a bit of wiggle room. We could have installed the beams right away, but at this point, we hadn't even chosen what type of beams we wanted. We hadn't done any research yet, and we didn't have a supplier either. So we just continued with the bricks and left the gaps for the beams. It was time to wrap around the rebar towers and pour the concrete. I decided to use the U-blocks again as formwork. The U-blocks were 2 cm taller than needed, so I trimmed them down a bit. After preparing a few, I still had to figure it out how to close the last open end. We had plenty of 12 cm saw bed blocks, so my father-in-law cut out the middle section, creating a smaller homemade U-block. Once everything was glued and leveled, I could see how fast it was going and how much work this block saved me. Just think about building all of these from wood. It would have taken forever for me. I'm sure a pro would be quicker, but that's not me, at least not yet. I moved to the back of the house later and leveled the top of the ring beam with a thin layer of glue to get a perfectly flat surface. My wife helped me pull the string line between the corners, and she wasn't exactly thrilled about me walking on the wall like a monkey. A little bit more glue here and there, and the surface was finally ready for the next step. But hold on, it was actually time for a quick lunch. Though, it looks like my lunch was much faster than me and I couldn't catch her. See how she's slowing down and checking the stairs? It's great to have them around, but we need to look after them. We gotta show them how to move safely, but I guess she nailed it pretty well. After a quick break, we began placing U-blocks above the patio door to form an additional lintel and take some of the load off the ring beam. Meanwhile, my father-in-law assembled the rebar cage. I kept laying the bricks. These blocks have a tongue and groove system. The tongue sticks out and the groove is recessed. They fit together like puzzle pieces, which keeps the wall straight and stable. And the best part is, these parts don't even need glue. When the cage was ready, we gently set it into position. Bit of trimming here and there, and it fit perfectly. With all sides closed and glued, it was time for the concrete. Just to be safe, I added a few dry bricks next to the tower and prevent the concrete from pushing out the U-blocks. Before the concrete could cure, there was one crucial step: installing the cast-in anchor rods. These rods will later on hold the wall plates securely in place, and those wall plates will hold the entire roof. We will get there soon. I bought 26 rods for a total of 182 zloty, including the nuts and washers. I ordered this previously online and came pretty fast. There were a few things to watch out for though. The rods had to be positioned on the center of the wall, perfectly vertical, and stick out roughly 18 centimeters. My wall plate is 14 cm thick on the plans, so that extra bit of space gives plenty of room for the washers and make everything easy to fasten. Next, we poured the concrete into the lintel above the patio door, making sure it was well compacted and leveled. After that, we filled the remaining 3 corner towers and installed the anchor rods. At the front of the house, space was tight. The first beam needed to sit right next to the tower, so instead of bricks, I built a temporary wooden formwork. It's basically a couple of planks nailed together. This can be removed later on, so the beam fits without any issues next to the towers. At one point, I noticed the gap and realized the plank wasn't holding the concrete in place. I was a bit panicking. To keep it from shifting even more, I secured it with a chain and hoped for the best. Thankfully, it worked out very well, and after then it didn't move at all. The next day I returned and I was all by myself. I'm really looking forward to having a roof so I can stay here on the weekends, work longer days, and skip all the back and forth trips from Warsaw. First thing in the morning, I removed the formwork and the bricks from the previous day. Everything looked solid and well compacted. I was happy with the outcome. Then I moved my small stand to the front of the house to repeat the same process I did yesterday. I needed to build another lintel above the window gap on this side. By this point, I had run out of U-blocks unfortunately, but I only needed a few more, so once again I got creative and cut regular blocks to size, making my own U-blocks. It was definitely time consuming, and to make things trickier, it was a bank holiday in Poland, so I couldn't get any more for that day. I was still using these small cheap scaffolds, and honestly, if I could go back in time, I'd invest something bigger and more professional. Moving them around piece by piece wasn't fun, especially since they weren't wide enough and I had to move them way too often. As the sun went down, one task remained. The ring beam was still fresh, and in the summer heat, I had to water it to prevent cracking. If concrete dries out too fast, it can easily crack. I was a bit reckless though, doing it without any safety measures, but I made it through. I definitely don't recommend anyone try this. It's kinda risky, so be careful if you do the same. But it was also loads of adrenaline, and I'm not gonna lie, it was fun. Another day went by, and the next morning I came back to put the last rebar cage in place and cover it with concrete. This time I was all alone, so every single task was on my shoulder. I had to mix the concrete, deliver it onto the walls and then pour it in. While the concrete cured, I finished the final row of bricks at the back of the house. Everything was level, and finally one side of the house was completely done. I couldn't have been happier with how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Wish you a happy new year, and if you don't want to miss a single moment of our 2026 journey, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment if you wish. We are not slowing down, we are just getting started. If everything goes according to the plan, 2026 is going to bring some truly exciting new projects right here on our Polish farmland. And I hope you're gonna be around and you will be there with us every step of the way. huge thank you for everyone who has supported us so far. You've made this journey possible. If you'd like to support our build and the channel, you can buy us a coffee. The link is in the description. Every bit helps, and thank you so much for the support. Thanks for watching. Mark is out. Peace.